Holy hieroglyphics. This is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 13. We're back once again talking FlyQuest in all capacities. A wild playoff weekend is behind us. Our arch nemesis is back on the horizon, and our Proving Ground success continues. And, over here in Flight Checkville, all the Flight Check-ins are staying real cool, calm, and collected, because we know that there's always a chance with this team. There's always an opportunity. And to that effect...
This isn't 2021.
This isn't 2021.
Not 2021.
And to that effect, my name is Sandy Toes. Back here again, to my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts, as always, Knox War and Curly Double Q. Knox, late night show for us. If you're on the podcast side, we're recording this 3 hours later than our usual 8 p.m. time. I think I said last week that I was not going to be on this episode, but I was like, I gotta get on the EG versus Fly preview episode. I gotta be here for it. So Knox, you just narrowly avoided yet another storm, another tornado. How are we doing right now?
I'm not out of the storm yet. There's another wave coming here in about an hour. So.
Oh boy.
Well, for the first wave, we're good. We'll see how the second wave goes, but we're kind of in the calm right now.
Well, we'll try to get you out of here just in time for the other storm to hit. Curly, I gotta hit you with the Fnatic check-in real quick, because so I watched most of that series. I think I watched the end of game 2, and then I watched games 3 through 5, and I honestly thought Fnatic had it in the bag. Even when Rogue got games 3 and 4, I still thought to myself, Fnatic should win this series. So my question to you, brother, what the hell happened?
Oh man, see, I think what happened was I put it on my TV at work, because I did miss the first 2 games.
So you missed the good part.
Empty. But then the bar was empty, and I was like, I'm gonna put my League of Legends on. I'm gonna watch LEC while I do all the day prep. And then they started losing. And then I was like, all right, we'll get
so wait, you jinxed it.
Yeah,
it's your fault.
You can blame me for Fnatic having to kick Misfits faced G2, right? Or Misfits is gone?
Misfits did face G2.
Yeah, Misfits lost to G2,
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big rip there. I was really hoping that we'd have to face Misfits, because I like them. I'd rather lose to Misfits. If we lose to... Ooh, boy. But no, I think it was just a little bit of something about the best of 5. Rogue really fell into form. They just kind of started being like, all right, we can't keep losing to Fnatic in playoffs. We need to keep winning. So I think they just really stepped up. And there was just a little bit of hilly throwing going on. Not the most, but a little bit of hilly throwing.
Little bit hilly int.
I also think, I don't know why they kept giving, they kept giving the same, good draft to Rogue, and then giving TF to Humanoid, which I think, worked once or twice, but it's if it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't work the second time. For God's sake, please don't pick it up the first time. But hey. Also, I think everyone, a lot of playoffs this weekend, Red Side was a big priority, and Fnatic just kept being we'll be on blue.
Well, I think... I think even the TL-EG series, it was Red Side 5-0 for that whole series.
Yeah, it was.
Red Side 5-0. So, the big int was losing and choosing blue still. I think that was one of the biggest things, because you lose out on that crucial counter pick. I think counter picks in the regular season or whatever, counter picks in playoffs, crucial.
I also think really funny, this was both an LEC... this was definitely LCS, but I think there might have been some in LEC as well. I saw a tweet that was it's almost as if the teams have a handshake agreement to not play Ornn during the regular season, but only in playoffs. Are they going to play Ornn? So I noticed that a bit. And then what was the other thing? Oh yeah, just about blue side, red side. It's just so interesting to me how the win rates will just swap all the time. Like some years, oh, blue side just wins 55% of the time. Then other years, oh, red side's winning 54% of the time. And it's hard for me to figure out exactly when those switches occur. But all of a sudden you'll notice it in the trends. You're just like, wow, red side just keeps winning every game. Or it feels like it, at least.
Yeah. That's Fnatic, but hey, we'll kick G2's face in and make we'll
You'll bounce back.
Well, okay. Exactly. Like, I mean, come on. It's G2. Chumps.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into a quick recap of the weekend behind us. So, what was interesting for me is that I got my predictions correct. I said 100 Thieves, and I said Team Liquid. However, I swapped the series scores because I had 100 Thieves 3-2 and TL 3-0, and yes, I did not have that completely correct.
So what you're supposed to say is you brain farted last week and you accidentally said them in the wrong order, and that you were actually correct the whole time.
Yes. You're correct. It was just a momentary mistake. My bad on that. I definitely meant to say 100 Thieves 3-0 over C9. We're not playing the loser of that, so let's just take like a couple minutes to just talk about that series. And for me, and then Nox, I'll throw it to you after, but for me it's just like, wow, C9 having a bit of like a collapse moment. I mean, we've heard from different sources now, player interviews, different things, just absolutely dismal in scrims. I think Fudge said in an interview 0-15 in a scrim block. And that was like to TSM EG and their academy team. If I'm quoting that correctly. And then, lost to 100 Thieves. Got absolutely slammed by them all 3 games, really. It just never even looked close. Always felt like 100 Thieves was in control. So obviously, I'm not surprised that 100 Thieves won. However, I am surprised at the extent to which they won. I mean, I don't know how you felt about that series.
I mean, honestly, because I predicted a 3-1, right?
Yeah.
I really thought if Cloud9 doesn't F up the minion wave control at the very end of that second game, I think that's a 3-1 series, because I think that Cloud9 takes that game too, but they're still not good enough to win the overall series, right?
Right.
So, more than anything, I think that was just kind of Cloud9 really, really botching ending there of the game 2, and 100 Thieves was capitalizing on it, right? And I think at that point you head into game 3, and it just, I mean, Cloud9 tried switching it up, but at that point 100 Thieves had the momentum. So, not surprised by it all that much. Because I think it kind of falls in line with what I expected. Cloud9 put up a fight. I think 100 Thieves is just a step above them. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, Curly, what were your thoughts on, what was your take on this series overall?
I think for me, just the interesting thing is 100 Thieves, like I saw them ramping up in skill power, and I was like, all right, they're falling back into that LCS champion form that they had.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say it was a perfect storm for them that C9 started slipping at the exact same time, and I think you saw the real big difference in their trajectories right now. In that series, in the fact that it was a 3-0, and in the fact that Summit did not look nearly as good as he was for most of the spring split. And so I'm not saying C9 would lose to GG. I don't expect that, but like if they don't backtrack a little bit, there's a chance that they could just fall right out of playoffs. As for 100 Thieves, it's like, to me, I'm calling it now. Like, they will be at the finals. Yeah. I mean, obviously they're going to be at finals weekend regardless, but they're going to be on that Sunday match, and it's going to be it's going to be fun to watch them.
Yeah, I managed to listen to JLXP this morning, and Raz actually said that he expects that he feels like 100 Thieves is the favorite now, which is kind of crazy to hear, because just up until, a week or two ago, it was TLC 9 as the overwhelming favorites.
I mean, you show up and you clap the second place team for 3-0. How does that not make you?
How does that not make you a favorite? Absolutely. I see Knox looking out his window, so he's...
it's starting to pick up again. Sorry.
Excellent. No worries.
Ignore me if you are watching.
You're good. You're good. All right.
Then keeping on that, like on Sunday, then you see, and we'll get into this, but you see the first place team struggle against what I've considered a very inconsistent team.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, 100 Thieves for sure.
Yeah. No, it's definitely super interesting. All right. Yeah, TL versus EG. Excuse me.
Banger
series. Much closer series than I think anyone was expecting. I only managed to catch the last two games, unfortunately. I need to go back and watch the first three. But, incredible series by all accounts. Danny just absolutely popping off. EG doing some crazy level 1s, I hear. And also Impact swapping to mid, JoJo going top. This series I felt like really had it all from the highlights I saw. But FlyQuest will be playing EG, and so this is kind of where I want to focus. So now we're segueing into, kind of recapping this series, but also, starting to talk about expectations for FlyQuest in this upcoming series. So, EG, let's just look historically at them this year. Probably, they were expected. They actually ended up in the regular season finishing where I think most people had them, which is a top 4, right? But for a while this year, really was questionable where they were. There was even questions at some points, are they even going to make playoffs? And they kind of came on strong. They had a good super week right at the end, beating us. And twice, actually. And for me right now, looking at how they played versus TL, it kind of makes me almost wish that C9 had fallen to face us instead. I would kind of rather be playing this Cloud9 than play the EG that just showed up against TL last night. Nox,
I want to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Ricebox originally called it all the way over a week ago, back before the tiebreakers even happened. Rice said we should either take 4th seed or we should take 6th seed. If we take 5th seed, that's going to be the worst scenario for us. And this was the exact reason why.
Yeah.
Because you get 6th seed, then you wind up playing Cloud9. You get 4th seed, well then at least you get access to double elimination. So don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that we took a game off of Golden Guardians in that tiebreaker. It shows that we are a good team, but I think in the long run, it actually probably did put us into a worse position in playoffs, which sucks.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario that we find ourselves in now because we've struggled to beat EG all year long. I don't think any of the games we played against them really even were close. We're 0-3 against them in the regular season, thanks to the 2 regular schedule games and then the tiebreaker loss as well. So if that was the best of 5 right there, they already have they've already won 1 best of 5 against us over the course of the season. And now we've got to go up against them again. I'm not super optimistic about things. Curly, when you look at how EG was playing against TL, what are some things that might stand out to you as things that would be harmful's not the right word that I'm looking for, but like put us at a disadvantage. Things that they, liked doing, the coordination that they had. What were things that stood out to you that they might do really well against us with?
I think the two biggest things that I saw in their victories is draft intelligence
Mm.
and just flexibility. Because in their two games, it's like they kind of pulled out unique drafts compared to the rest of meta. Like MF, I don't think really has been played at all this season, so that was a unique thing to pull out in the bot lane.
I think we played an MF game, right?
Yeah, we did. We played it against Golden Guardians. We played Bronzodia.
Okay, so we did Bronzodia. So they pulled out. They didn't pull out Bronzodia per se, but they're the only other MF to note in this season. So it's pulling out some champs here or there that haven't been pulled before, and then overcoming the double marksman bait by making it triple marksman instead, and somehow making it work because of a lane swap. So they just had some really smart moments, I'd say. And so we're gonna have to look out can we be more flexible than them or be more solid in our if we're going traditionalist or we're going to be confident in whatever our game plan is. We need to be very rock solid.
Mm. Is that a Malphite hint? Do you mean we need to play Malphite?
Maybe. I mean, if we were playing C9, obviously get Malphite every freaking game. But yeah, and then outside of that, it's just I would say this was actually a very even series the whole time to begin with. It was always from what I saw, it was always all right, one team slowly was getting the lead and kind of ran away with it, and so then the next team did the same thing. So it was always whoever started best was able to keep going with that. So what we need to do is, if we are going to lose against them at the early game, which I don't want to, we need to be prepared. All right, how can we have a good comeback to stop their momentum? Because that's something I also noticed they were able to utilize very, very well.
Yeah, that actually is a perfect segue for what I was going to ask Nox next. So, again, on JLXP today, Jat called out, I think, what we've noticed a little bit for a while, and what I was going to say is that the way FlyQuest wins is by drafting, scaling, and multiple forms of engage. Which is good, because, okay, cool, we've got late game insurance policies. But then when EG is just so strong in the early game, that's kind of been a disadvantage for us going up against them. So I'm trying to figure out, how do we, combat this early game of theirs when ours has been a struggle? But hey, if we get to the mid-late game, we can kind of balance it out, level the playing field, things like that. So, where do we start? Who should we be targeting with bans? Where should we be focusing here?
I mean,
it's a big question, but
yeah,
I think
it's very hard to target, right?
Yeah, I think we have to have the discussion, because it's we've got to find a way to win. So it's where do we start? What's the direction?
So, I think one for sure target thing that we need to hit is a Zeri ban onto Danny. That is far and away if he gets that champion, there is a very strong chance he pops off on it. And it's not something we can just take away, because if we're being honest here, Johnson has not looked great on it. Mm-hmm. So it's not something I want us to pick away from. I think that's just a champion that needs to be banned away from. Outside of that, Vulcan. So I was watching Mark Z stream earlier today, and he was doing blame game for Cloud 900 Thieves series. But he was looking up stats for the whole league, basically, and he was looking at different supports, comparing Winston and stuff. And one of the things we were looking at was Vulcan, and one of the major champions he plays consistently has been Nautilus. Afro hasn't looked bad on Nautilus, I think. It's not his best champ, I think, personally, but he's looked solid on it. So I think maybe that's a potential area to aim at, is making sure, at least for a bot lane, keeping Danny off the Zeri, getting Afro onto the Nautilus, either in the form of picking it ourselves or keeping it off of Vulcan via a ban, whichever. That should secure a nice stable bot lane for us. But honestly, even then, it becomes kind of difficult because in the past couple games, it hasn't really been our bot lane losing. Because honestly, EG's bot lane is kind of middle of the pack. They're not all that amazing, at least in lane, right? Like come mid to late game when they're out of lane, oh my god, they're deadly scary.
I mean, Vulcan had an absolutely terrible game. I think I saw one score line at one point. He was 2-8-5. I mean, it's not like Vulcan has really been performing as the top 3 support that he, had been in previous years.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, in general, EG's bot lane's not the thing we need to be scared of, and at least until the holy.
Thunder?
Yeah, like I saw a lightning arc across the sky from my window.
Nice.
I do not have a great view of the sky. Anyway, Danny's Danny's like the only thing that we should be scared of in the mid game, right? What I'm really terrified of is Impact, Inspired, and JoJo. In which case, JoJo has been far and away the best mid laner in lane phase during the LCS, and has been the only person Takoi has simply just lost to all 3 times he's played him in lane. Mm-hmm. So, I think the big ask that we're going to need to do is to get Takoi onto something that he's comfortable on, that is going to hold lane, and just ask him not to hold.
I saw the lightning flash on your camera there.
Oh boy!
All right, podcast listeners, Nox is giving us the camera of his window. There's one flash.
I'll keep talking, but
he's going to keep
talking.
See
the flashes of lightning. Yeah. So just get Takoi onto something that's stable. And then I think another thing is you really just got to expect Jose Dioto and Takoi to like not run it down in the early game like it has the past 2 games, right?
Right.
If we can do that, it's winnable. And then also you got to expect Kumo not to run it down against Impact, and hopefully Sharks doesn't pick him Graves again. Because there's been 2 matchups now, twice in a row that Sharks has picked Graves into Impact's Akali, and it has just not gone well. We have got to get him onto a weak side pick where he's actually going to be able to survive and not just let Impact run the game from that point on.
I was going to ask you as a follow-up, and maybe Curly, you can chime in on this too after Nox goes, but who do you think it's more important to get counterpick for, Tukui or Kumo? Because we've seen Kumo get the counterpick and it not work. Do we want to, like you said, maybe look to just blind a weak side top that's stable, not easily, counterpickable, really? Something safe, like the Ornn, maybe, could be an option there. And then give Tukui the counterpick? Is that the play? Or should we just run it again, give Kumo the counterpick here?
I do think I think Tukui is able to handle being countered much better than Kumo is, so I still think we should funnel our counters into Kumo more often. But I think we need to be smarter about what we counter with, because I think it's anytime we have countered, we haven't really done the best job of handing him effective counters from what we've seen. And so it's like we need to make sure that we're using that effectively. But if we are blind picking Kumo, I do think it's just put him on the weak side unless he's really, really confident he can something like an Irelia. So it's going to be like Kumo either has to be the focus or just steady for himself, because I think Tukui, I really would rather enable him to be a solid carry, because when you've seen him on stuff like Zoe and Veigar or anything that can really do a lot of damage and just delete enemies, it's turned out really, really well for us. If we can enable just an effective first pick for Tukui, I think that would thrive well.
Yeah. I'm looking at what top laners were drafted, and the problem from this past weekend at least, the issue is that there's not a lot of options here. So I mean, you do have the Ornn, you have some Renekton picks. Renekton, I think
Ornn and Gragas would like I think Ornn and Gragas are pretty much what we should just kind of keep Kumo on this week.
I really like Ornn and Gragas, yeah, as options here. Yeah, he doesn't really play, Lucian top. Tryndamere, I think basically did get a nerf, right, in 12.6.
It did, but it's still playable, I think.
It's still playable.
It's not as strong, obviously, but I think it's definitely playable.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, I mean, for my part, I almost wonder if you do just kind of sack top lane and say, play Ornn Gragas, do what you can, and then give the counter pick to Kui. Nox, I don't know if you had any follow-up thought there that you wanted to add.
Yeah. Yeah. This series is going to come down to Kumo just being stable. Yeah. And I remember having this conversation last week of basically, I think the way this squad needs to play is just very front to back. You put Kumo on a tank, you let him play weak side, and hopefully he manages to play a weak side a little bit better than he has been in the past couple weeks. You get Johnson and Takui onto some nice, decent carries that can do a lot of damage. Get Afro on a nice, simple engaged support, such as a Nautilus or Thresh, whichever you prefer. And then let Jose Diodo, if you can, get that man onto his Lee Sin, because god dang, is that his best champion? But if not, then just get him on whatever he's comfortable with.
Well, yeah, and here's my thought. I think you nailed a couple points I was thinking about. If you put Kumo on that Ornn, on that Gragas, and then you give Afromu some kind of engage support, again, you've got multiple forms of engage. And I think this is super important for our team to have, because I think we have seen time and time again, this team actually is a strong team fighting team. Especially in the mid to late game. We actually are pretty well coordinated. I think we solved a lot of the coordination issues that we were seeing earlier on in the split. I've been pretty encouraged by what I saw, at the final few weeks of the season. So if you have, two, maybe a third form of engage, something from jungle maybe, and you've got Jose on a strong pick. The Volibear. I forget what else was played in jungle. Lee Sin, yeah, you mentioned would be great. The Viego, just things like that. And then Tukui on a strong, stable counter pick. I think there's a real world where we can reverse the fortunes that we've had against EG. I do want to hit on this jungle matchup a little bit, because we do have a little bit of time still, I think. Jose versus Inspired. So Inspired this past weekend, 5 games. I'm looking to see what all he played. So he played Lee Sin, and then he played Lee Sin again. And then he had a Nocturne game, Jarvan... No, not a Jarvan game.
Graves.
A Graves game, thank you. And then the final game was the Nidalee game. So Nidalee, Graves, Lee Sin, Jarvan. Pretty big champion pool here. It's pretty good. Nidalee is something I wanted to point out, especially. Is Nidalee a pick that we would be interested in seeing Jose take up for this series?
No. So, I'm not opposed to it, but what I'm scared of is Sharks is going to go ahead and think, well, one of the best jungle top duos there is Nidalee Renekton, And I'm sorry, but Renekton ain't it right now.
Yeah, really.
Nidalee, I'm actually still open to the idea of Nidalee. I think Nidalee can work, but Nidalee Renekton is not it, and it's mainly on the Renekton right now. So by all means, I'm down to see what Jose can do on Nidalee, because Nidalee's shown, or sorry, not Nidalee, Jose They has shown on the Nidalee back in like 2020, back at Worlds against LGD, like he is a scary Nidalee player. He even back in LLA, he was a scary Nidalee player. So yeah, I'm totally game to see what he can do, and if he whips it out, just please don't be with the Renekton. That's all I ask.
Yeah, hopefully this past weekend really showed why the Renekton's not the move. Curly, you were pretty emphatic on the no for Nidalee. Why so?
Yeah. I mean, I can see where the power of it comes from. I can see why it's a potentially very strong pick. But one of the big things for me that I keep thinking of is like if Canyon can have the most disgusting early game jungler has ever had on Italy and still lose. I don't like that. Granted, that's not just on Italy, but it's like you have a start like that, and you just have some champs that aren't able to follow through because of comeback gold and some XP and all that stuff. It just makes me scared, you know. And then on top of the fact, like, just from what I've seen in other regions, it's not had the greatest success. So as much as I would like to see Jose Dioto flex on it, I just don't think the comps that Nidalee wants to have around her are the best for FlyQuest right now, especially because there's potential debate into the Nidalee Renekton. So I'd just rather wait till summer if we're going to pull that out where we can afford to throw a game and still make playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Totally.
because if to me every game on like this Saturday I'm going to be clenching or not Saturday, I'm sorry, Sunday. I'm going to be clenching until that Nexus is destroyed.
Yeah. Okay. Final section before we move on to predictions. The bot lane. Afro, we already kind of hit on. Let's get him an engage support, right? The Nautilus, the Thresh, something there. I would say not the Renata, please. Let's shy away from that. But where are we looking with Johnson? I mean, I saw some Ashe get played. Ezreal's still getting played. We saw MF. I mean, Zeri, we do know. Jinx is still around. I feel like there's Alphelios. I feel like there's actually a decent amount of options in the bot lane for him to go with. We know he can bust out the Tristana if he really wants that scaling. But what pick are you guys most comfortable with Johnson taking here? We know not the Zeri, right? But I mean, for me, even the Xayah, I think, was out there a little bit. I think that was more of a counter pick, if I'm not mistaken. But there's options here, right? And I think for my part, I would like to see him stick to the Aphelios Jinx as much as possible. But if pushed off of it, I mean, where else are we going?
I agree with the Tristana. Like, I was very happy with how his Tristana looked. I think he looked very solid. He looked very comfortable. We can absolutely bring that back. That's just something I only want to see played if, for whatever reason, we let Danny get Zeri, because that is just like one of the few natural counters for that champion, as well as the fact that Ashe brings a lot of visibility to the map, right? And it helps us keep track of Inspired better and JoJo better, because let's be honest here, unless Takui steps up his game, which I'm hoping he did, but going off past matchups, he hasn't. He's going to possibly start losing lane a little bit. JoJo's going to have roam timers way more often than Takui is going to, so that Hawkshot's going to be able to keep track of him as well. So Ashe is an absolute viable option, I think, in this case. And then the last third quick one that I'm down to see at any time is pretty much that Aphelios, I think. The Aphelios, I think, is still really solid.
Totally. Yeah, Curly, any thoughts there?
For me, if it's blue side, I want to see Jinx, Aphelios, maybe even MF if we're trying to pull out Bronzodia again. If it's red side, I want to see whichever one is left open, or Tristana or Ashe.
Very nice.
What I want to see permanently is a Zeri ban. We need to ban Zeri every game. We cannot let Danny have it.
Not only from Danny, but also from ourselves. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. We're banning it from ourselves because no matter what, we need to keep Danny off of it. We give Danny Zeri. I'm not saying it's a lost game, but we are throwing it against ourselves. He's, in my opinion, the only good Zeri in the LCS. Like, genuinely good. And so we just need to... We can't let him have it, and we can't pick it because even when Johnson had his adequate and good moments, it wasn't enough, in my opinion.
Right.
So just ban.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's that easy. All right. Well, let's talk predictions. Trying to pull up the rankings page, but it just seems to not want to work with me tonight. All right, but let's talk about this series. We've talked a little bit about how the team could win. Let's put our mouths where the money is. How does that saying go?
Money where the mouths are.
Put our money where the mouth is. Something like that.
On the hammer, nail on the head.
Yeah. Hit the head on the nail. Whatever.
Yeah, put the head on the nail.
Let's place our bets.
Let's place our bets. We'll do that. All right. Amazing. You guys can you can tell it's a late night for sure. All right, there. I finally got the thing in. Now I just gotta.
I want a tweet of like one of those handshake tweets, and it's like flight check and fucking up normal sayings.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just absolutely crushing it on the sayings. Okay, put that there, and then there we go. Excellent. It's in the thing. If I can do that, boom. We got the prediction box up. All right. So we got one line for EG versus Fly. We got another line for the score. Let's go left to right here. Curly, give me your winner, your score line, and the justification.
Oh, this is so hard. I've spent all day thinking about this. And
I have too.
I'm still unsure because you know what? I'm going to huff all of the hopium. I'm going to predict a FlyQuest 3-2.
Wow. All right.
I'm going to be very bold, and if we do beat EG, it is not going to be in less than 5 games. In my opinion. Unless they wake up Sunday and they're like, you know what? We like what C9 did. We'll just do that too. Yeah. So my justification for it, I'm really hoping. Actually, my biggest thing is just, I really think that there might be a good chance that the team did take this week off. Like I said, I hope, especially because I saw I think it was Nick Fan posted a picture of them doing an escape room this weekend, which tells me it took some time just not to think about LCS, which I think is really good.
Absolutely.
Because when you get too in it, you can get fatigued. So I think it'll be a nice little refresh, and there's a good chance that we'll have that same boost that we had at the start of the season where we just were in first place for a while, and we can channel that energy, and we'll have just some fresh players ready for the fight on Sunday. But then on top of that, I really believe that Sharks is of the growth mindset along with Richard, so I'm really hoping that they've hit, them and the rest of the analysis team have just sat down, had the tough conversations, and really prepared to all right, what is genuinely good for our team, and what mistakes do we need to stop making? And so I'm really just putting the faith that this team has done the proper preparation, done the proper relaxation, and that we're going to just come in ready for the fight. And I'm putting a lot of my faith in Jakui and Johnson, particularly.
Very nice. I like it. Knox, I wonder how you're going to go here.
So, I'll be honest, I have not been wondering about this. I've been pretty set foot, stable, however you want to put it. We are terrible at sayings. God dang, what is wrong with us?
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's late. It's a late night show.
It's late at night. I've been very confident in what I think about this. I unfortunately do not think we are going to win this series. I think it'll probably be a 3-1 because I do think the guys are good enough to take a game off, and I do think EG will have something that they mess up on. I have a feeling there's something somewhere that they're going to end up messing up on. And I want to follow up with that. That's okay.
Yeah.
It is more than okay. This is higher than I expected us to finish. A 5th seed finish in spring is, at least for me personally, 3 spots higher than we were supposed to be. And for most analysts, like 4 or 5 even. So coming in 5th is fine. And as long as we come into playoffs and the games look at least a little bit competitive, and even better if we take a game off, which I think we will, I'll be more than satisfied. And hopefully what will happen then is the guys take some time off, relax a little bit, think about how the spring went. They come back nice and rejuvenated, and they go and hit summer hard, and maybe they can try and push for a 4th, right? If we can do that, I am very satisfied with this team this year, because this isn't a year that I'm expecting us to win the whole thing. It's still a growth year, and let me tell you, we have shown some major growth, and I'm very, very happy with the team so far.
Yeah. All right. For my part, I am aligned with Mr. Knoxwar over here. EG. However, I have it as a 3-0.
No faith at all.
I don't look okay, and here's my justification, right? We've already watched them basically 3-0 us over the course of the split. And that was at times when there wasn't a lot of faith to be had in EG. EG looked so much better this past weekend playing TL. They looked like the EG that we were told was going to show up. I will be pleasantly surprised and take it as a huge success if we get a game out of this series. Based on the trends, based on how things have gone, how we've seen them play against us, how we've seen us play against them, I will be pleasantly surprised to see us take a game. I will consider that a huge success. To that point, I'm going to make a couple predictions here for the rest of the playoffs. The way EG played last week, and the way C9 has been playing recently, I would not be surprised if when we're in Houston in approximately 3 weeks from now, I would not be surprised to see a Saturday matchup between a rematch between Team Liquid and EG, and whoever ends up winning that playing 100 Thieves in the final.
You think Cloud9's going out 4th?
I think Cloud9, the way they're playing, unless they can miraculously pull themselves together, they might even get sent home by Golden Guardians. Like, they look that bad right now. Ooh. Like, I think there's a legitimate shot. Cloud9 fans should be concerned. The team should be concerned. EG finally looks legit. And now, yes, I am taking this off of, a very small sample size. But they looked pretty good in Super Week. They looked pretty good in this TL series, even though they lost. I think they're going to just punch it the rest of the way. I don't think they're going to win the overall season. I think I still have 100 Thieves, maybe TL as the favorites here. But yeah, we're not getting past them. I'm sorry to say, but I mean, I'll echo what you said, Knox. It's a huge success to even be here in the first place. That's amazing. This is great. I'm so happy to be in the playoffs. I'm so happy that the season ended and we still have stuff to talk about for this team. That's fantastic.
It's wonderful.
It's so good, especially after
Get to
last
make
year.
a weekend forecast playoffs one for once.
Yeah, exactly. It's exciting. So that's really good. But I feel like the run is about to end here. However, any last thoughts before I make my perfect segue that I just that I've got here?
I got nothing else.
However,
Send it.
speaking of runs that probably are not about to end, FlyQuest Academy in Proving Grounds. They are they are in it to win it. Top 8 currently, and I believe they play
Dignitas Academy.
Nick Academy.
Dig Academy, and I feel like this is a very winnable series for them based on how our team has been playing, based on what we know about Dignitas Academy. I think this is a very winnable series. Best of 3, right? So,
Yes.
It's not best of 5 yet. I believe the winner of this series, after today's results, will go on to play Immortals Academy in a best of 5.
Correct.
So, important things to keep in mind. Tomorrow night is the Dig Fly matchup. That's at 6 o'clock. Twitch.tv/LCS. If Fly wins that, they play again Thursday versus Immortals Academy. And that is also at 6 o'clock. So those are 2 dates to keep in mind for sure. This
Loaded
past...
week, possibly.
Say what?
It was loaded week, possibly.
Loaded week, possibly. So let's just take a quick look at what occurred for us last week. So when we were doing the show last week, they had just lost to Team Liquid Academy. And then later that week, they played Evil Geniuses Prodigies and a 2-0. And, I mean, from what I recall of that series, that was a pretty good series. That was a pretty solid 2-0. Not a lot of issues, I felt. Nox, I mean, what's your confidence level right now coming into this Dignitas series?
It's pretty high, actually. I'm giving the guys like a 65-35 chance of winning it.
Yeah.
I think so. Even Cubby, who's one of the casters for the Academy scene, he has FlyQuest Academy as his dark horse for a top 4 finish. Not even top 6, like a top 4 finish, which would be astounding and awesome and should be very much celebrated, right?
Right.
So, and I'm not 100% confident on being able to beat Immortals Academy into a best of 5, because Immortals has definitely looked like they've leveled up over the past couple weeks. But at the same time, we do have a 3-1 record against them while we were playing Academy against them. So there's things that like this. There are stars that are aligning. Whether they actually come into alignment or not is a different story. But like FlyQuest Academy fans should actually have a little bit of hope. You should get a little bit of excitement going for this team. They can make a run. You should be very, very happy, because so far the only team that has really, really given us any trouble has been Team Liquid Academy, who literally as of 20 to 30 minutes ago just beat Cloud9 Academy to go on to the winners upper bracket finals. So looking at we just lost to only one of the top 3 teams, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. And even then, our series against them was not terrible. Like, we lost 2-0, don't get me wrong, but the game quality itself was, actually respectable.
And the player that I really want to highlight that has stood out to me in these games is actually Philip. Philip, to me, has looked actually, pretty good. And I feel like he's come a long way from where he was last year. I feel like last year he had the mechanical talent, but some of the more micro, small things just weren't there. It's like he has gone into the Matrix over the last few months, and just like downloaded programs of what to do. And I really am excited because this is a guy that we can look at towards the future and say, I just pulled a Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy who you could look at as the future of our top lane. And when we're looking eventually, and we're 7 months out from this, but when we're looking at off season from season 12 to season 13, and we're looking to make moves, and again, upgrade, because that's what you want to do. You want to upgrade your team as much as possible. I start to wonder, okay, after this Proving Grounds performance, if he keeps it up and continues to improve in summer, just absolutely stomps Proving Grounds summer, when does the conversation begin? I don't think it starts right now, to be fair, but I will be curious to see, okay, when does the conversation start for, is it time to bring Philip into the LCS? When do we start giving him some games on stage? Things like that. So I will be very curious to keep tracking that over the year. And I think there's similar conversations to be had. I think about Tomo as well. The Tomo Johnson conversation is actually one that I think is a little bit more relevant, and one that I definitely want to have that in the spring to summer off season. Is like, okay, what are we doing with Tomo? Where is this guy going in our system?
That'll probably be our talk the week after the finals ends while we're waiting for MSI.
Right. Yeah, totally. I think there's a real conversation to be had here. Curly, how much Proving Grounds did you get to watch this week?
Come again?
So there's this.
Yeah.
So in the LCS, each team is required to have an academy team. Yeah. And so the current format is that they play, two best of twos with every other academy team. And then at the end, they all get seeded into this big tournament called Proving Grounds.
Isn't that run by Unified?
The qualifiers for Proving Grounds for amateur were run by Unified. Proving Grounds itself is run by Riot. And right now, FlyQuest, the team that we cover, their academy team is in Proving Grounds, and they are in top 8 currently. They're in the losers bracket, so they got to be careful. But they have advanced. They've advanced to top 8, and so catching you back up on where we're at there. Nox, I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back to you.
Yeah.
Nox,
I've not been able to watch it.
Totally fair.
I'm sorry.
Nox, what's your score prediction for the Dig series? Because I do have us winning this.
I do too. In which case, I'm going to go ahead and say it is a 2-1.
Yep.
I do think we will drop a game, probably.
Completely agree. 2-1.
Because if I'm being, there's not, any, huge standout players on Dig Academy. They're just kind of like a well-oiled team. They're just solid. They're very synergistic.
Yeah.
So, when you have teams that are just that synergistic and they can work well together, I think they're bound to find a game. But I do think we've shown, while we have our inconsistencies, I think we have higher highs than Dig does. And we've shown it more consistently to hit those highs than we have our lows. So that's why I'm going to say a 2-1. We should get this dub. We should move on to top 6. We should play Immortals Academy in a best of 5.
Excellent. No, I think that was great. Okay. Any final FlyQuest topics that we want to hit before we close out the show?
I believe Kodorin
Yeah, I was literally, but you hit it, Curly. But Kadoran had a tournament recently.
Doran did have a tournament this weekend. Was it?
It was the Gallant Melee Open. Okay. He finished second, if I recall correctly.
Yes, he did. And there was some good Twitter coverage from the wonderful social media interns who were like, yo, our Smash player is pretty good.
He is pretty good.
Yep, there it is. Gallant Melee Open Spring Edition West Coast Melee Singles. Congrats, Kadoran, on second. So, yeah, Kadoran really working out for us.
Yep.
Finding good success. And
had a bit of a slow start, but he
yeah.
Yeah,
it's like,
and again,
to see more from this guy.
Yeah, and another reminder that all these tournaments that he's been doing the past few weeks are for tune-ups, basically, for Genesis 8. And, yeah, so, I mean, him placing high at all these tournaments, great sign. Genesis 8 is April 15th to 17th. I'm not sure if Melee singles are all 3 days or if it's just 2 days or whatever. The schedule will come out eventually. But do keep that on your calendar as something to keep an eye on. It'll be very interesting to watch him go at it with a lot of top players in Melee, for sure. All right. Well, that is pretty much the whole show. Excuse me. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this late night episode of Flight Check. The boys are on this Sunday night at, I believe... Oh, when does this thing start?
3:30 was the time yesterday, so I'm guessing the same time.
Yeah, probably...
Yeah, it should be 3:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
12:30 Pacific.
Yep, 3 p.m. Eastern for the start of the show, and then 3:30 first game. Super important series, obviously. Probably the biggest best of 5 we'll play, so far this year. Actually, I think it's the only best of 5 we've played all so far this year.
It is.
Might be the only best of 5
we've played since 2020.
Yeah, since 2020 summer finals, because we didn't play any at Worlds. So, this is the biggest series we've had in a year and a half. So tune in. This is important. And it's so important, you should also follow us on Twitter to get all our instant reactions and thoughts about it. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion and otherwise takes place, including pictures of gumbo and tacos I saw tonight we're going up on in there.
And storm charts.
Charts.
Great
so that you can know exactly when Nox is about to get slammed by a tornado warning. If you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. The audio version of this episode should go up on Spotify. I think it'll be a bit later this week, maybe Wednesday, something like that. And if you're listening to that and would like to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode every Monday night. Usually it was later tonight, and that is why you should follow us on Twitter to get the announcement on if there's a show time change. But usually every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Curly, any final notes or shoutouts, plugs, things before we wrap up?
Final notes, shoutouts, plugs. Regardless of everything, I am just super, 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 super hyped to see FlyQuest in playoffs. It's just something I've been looking forward to ever since I became a fan of the org. So even if it's just on Sunday, I'm really proud of the team and all that stuff and the coaching staff and everything. And then also just shout out, like I said last week, to FlyQuest expanding their team, social media and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to see how it's growing, because I'm sure that's going to happen in the future. And then also specifically shout out to Nate, who's, I'm pretty sure, Nate ID, also known as Paper ID on some things, is going to be at the FlyQuest best of 5. So I'm going to be keeping a lookout at his Twitter, and he's going to be hopefully representing FlyQuest, because 100 Thieves, they're not playing that day. He doesn't need to represent. Oh, actually, no, I'll leave Papa Smithy for one of you guys.
Oh, yeah. Knox, any plugs or shoutouts for you?
I'll leave Papa Smoothie for you, Sandy.
Oh boy, that's a lot of pressure.
I am actually going to be hopping on the EG Fan podcast tomorrow with Prime Lowell, and just to discuss this weekend's matchup. Just because I'm kind of like the fan. Us three are obviously all representatives, but I just happened to be talking about it. And he was like, I kind of want someone from y'all's podcast on so we could talk about the matchup on Sunday. So if you guys want to listen to the EG Fan podcast, I should be on that tomorrow night. I don't know if it's live, if I'm being honest, but I'll make sure to link his stuff on my Twitter. You guys can follow him there and listen to the podcast there. Kind of going to be going over drafts and stuff and what to expect in the matchups. So maybe go into a little more detail than we did tonight. And then other than that, please go support the boys on Sunday, and that is it.
Very nice. I guess it's left to me to shout out Papa Smithy for shouting us out in the 100 Talk Discord, noting that we are the one true fan cast because we actually cover the academy teams. It just be like that sometimes. So, shout out to Papa Smithy for being a good dude and for running a great org. Flight Check will be back at the normal time of 8 p.m. Eastern Time next week with our fresh hot reaction to FlyQuest's inevitable dismantling of EG. I don't know what I was thinking, saying that they're going to lose. So we can't wait to talk about that. But for now, I'll just say stay safe out there. Please don't forget to hit the head on the nail, and we will see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.